Hi guys, and welcome back. Today I'm sharing with you my top 10 favorite deadlift variations, and as always, nobody's got time for chit chat. We're gonna get right on into this video. So number one is going to be the conventional deadlift. Now I will have for every single variation different cues come up on the screen as far as form tips and things. Just make sure to check the description bar below because I will add in form tips and anything else you guys need to know that I don't mention in the video down there. Number two is going to be the sumo deadlift. Now, I prefer to do more of a moderate sumo deadlift stance where it's about twice as wide as my conventional deadlift stance, and then I will turn my feet out about 30 degrees. Now, you will see some people perform these with an extremely wide stance, and they're usually people who are like competitors and powerlifters because the wider stance you have, the shorter range of motion, which allows you to pull up more weight. However, since I am not a competitor and those are not my goals, and I'm just doing it to optimally perform a sumo stance to the best of my ability and keep me safe for the weight I am moving, I prefer to go with the moderate stance. So just do whichever one helps you target your goals the most. Now, number three is the deficit deadlift. These are great for improving your strength on your regular deadlifts. The reason why is that you're working with a longer range of motion and it's a more difficult position to pull the weight out of. So since you are working with those two things, when you get used to pulling up weight from this longer range of motion and more difficult position, when you get back to pulling up weight from the floor, you will find that you are naturally more stronger at your deadlifts. So if that is a goal of yours, you could definitely try these out. Now, as far as how high of a deficit, it's anywhere from 1 to 4 inches. It's going to vary upon the person. The easiest way to figure out your deficit is how low you can go while still being able to keep a neutral spine all the way to the bottom of the movement. Now this next variation is called a B stance deadlift, or some may refer to it as a staggered stance deadlift. And the purpose of this one is that you are mimicking a single leg deadlift without actually having to take your second leg off of the ground. So basically you're concentrating all of the weight on that front leg, and that back leg is solely just there for stability purposes. This deadlift variation is a great alternative to the single leg deadlift, especially if you're somebody who likes to focus on strength training. You will definitely be able to lift up more weight with this variation than you would with, let's say, a single leg RDL. Number five is going to be the stiff leg deadlift. So for these, we are starting with the load at the top. And what you want to do is start in an upright position, and you want to keep your knees soft. You want to keep them right out of lockout, and then you're just going to hold that position. Then from there, what you want to do is move that weight down, keeping as close to your body as possible while you are bending at the waist and pushing your hips back. You'll usually end up somewhere around mid-shin level, higher or lower depending on your hamstring flexibility. Once you reach your point of flexibility, you're going to concentrate on squeezing your glutes as you pull that weight back up into starting position. And the key to this one is making sure to keep your core braced and nice and tight and keep a neutral spine, which is going to really help with referring from any pain in your lower back. Number six, I'm showing you guys my favorite variation of RDLs, where I actually prefer to ditch the barbell and get a pair of dumbbells and stand close to a wall and do more of a constant tension style RDL, where I'm putting a lot more emphasis on the eccentric load. So what I like to do is go ahead and start at the top with the load, and then I will slowly lower the weight down to get me into that eccentric load where my hamstrings and glutes are fully lengthened and the load will be the greatest. And then I will slowly squeeze my glutes as I'm pulling that weight up. And right once I pass that mid-range level, right before I get into complete upright position, where you'll see a lot of people who really put an emphasis on like a posterior pelvic tilt to get that like full glute squeeze. Instead, I will avoid that and I will just get straight back down into that eccentric load, and then usually do it for a lighter weight and a higher rep. Now here for number 7 with the single leg RDL, you are seeing me get that full range of motion where I'm going completely down as far as I can to keep form and coming up right and getting that squeeze at the top. So I do like to perform deadlifts in all different variations and styles with different loads and angles and things. I just wanted to show you guys a different variation to the RDL that you could try out instead of just showing you another standard typical RDL with a barbell. Number 8 is going to be a hex bar deadlift. Now these are pretty cool for a few reasons. So if you're somebody who kind of is lacking in the flexibility department or your range of motion in your hips, and that becomes an issue for you when you are trying to deadlift, if you're working on it but you still want to be able to deadlift, this can be a great alternative to that. As well as if you're a beginner and you're just trying to get used to deadlifting weight, this can be a good starting point as well. So this contraption allows the weight to be more so centered around you. So not only are you recruiting muscles like your glutes and hamstrings, but you're also using your quads as well. Also, the way the weight is being held, it allows you to hold a more upright position and it keeps a little bit more of that weight off of your back. So if that is something that bothers you as well when you're deadlifting, this can also be a great alternative for that reason. The most challenging thing that you will come to find when doing this exercise is just balancing that contraption in the first place around you where you're staying equally centered in it. So once you get that down, you're good to go. Number 9 is another one I especially love for beginners or people who have issues with their back when they're deadlifting, and that's going to be the LANDMINE SUMO DEADLIFT. So with this deadlift, you're actually shifting the weight forward, and the way you are driving through your toes will definitely help take a lot of that weight off of your back and your lower back and shift it more forward. So that way it makes it easier to complete the sumo deadlift and get into that upright extension without feeling like you're straining your lower back or like it's extremely difficult. So this is a great way for beginners to practice getting into that upright position and using the correct muscles during the movement. Or if you're somebody who just has issues with sumo deadlifts in general, this is a great alternative to try out and see if it works better for you. And to end this top 10, I'm ending with walking Romanian deadlifts. Now, how I like to do these is I will do them at the end of a workout, and I will get a lighter pair of dumbbells, and I will just do as many reps as I can back and forth across the floor until I feel like my legs are going to fall off, which usually isn't that many considering I'm doing it at the end of a full leg workout. But that's just the way I prefer to do them. Feel free to use them however you would like. So the biggest tip I can give you guys for these is going to be finding your balance, because that's definitely going to be the hardest part of this exercise. So what I suggest you guys to do is you will see me taking like half a second pause at the top of every rep before moving on to the next leg. And that's just going to reassure that you have your stability back before moving on to make sure you're performing the exercise not only safely but correctly and using the correct muscles throughout the entire movement. So I really hope you guys enjoyed my top 10. Of course, there are a million bajillion other variations of deadlifts. These are just my current favorites. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until the next one, bye guys.